Good morning. I continue to talk on this text, opening the hand of thought. Today I read one paragraph, starting page 129, if we have this book. Let me read this paragraph. If we take a fresh look through our zazen and practice living out the reality of fresh and immediate life, then it will be clear to anyone that whatever happens, there is nothing outside of living out self that is only self. This is what is called magnanimous mind, the attitude that never discriminates. Without discriminating in terms of I like that, I don't like this, I want that, I don't want this, since everything I encounter lies within my life experience. I look on everything equally as my life. My life is not limited to the physical pulsation of my heart. My life is in every experience. That is everywhere life functions. Every way I encounter life manifesting as life. That is my life experience. That is why in Buddhism, self-settling on itself is the same as the universe settling on itself. The magnanimous mind of a bodhisattva sees the self as one with the universe. And since everything we encounter is our life, we seek to manifest that life, regardless of what it is or what happens, without discrimination. In this section, starting from page 127, Uchiyama Roshi is talking about magnanimous mind. That is Daishin. This temple is called Sanshinji, and Daishin is one of those. Sanshin means three minds, and Daishin is one of them. Other two is Roshin, and Kishin. Ki is joy or delight. So this is a joyful mind. And Ro is aging, but in this case this means mature. And in the explanation of what is Roshin, Dogen Zenji said Roshin is a mind of parents. That means when we are children or we are kids, we always expect, their parents or other people taking care of me. Otherwise, the kid scream and shout and struggle. But when we became parents, we find a joy in taking care of our children. That is what a matured mind or a parental mind means. And Daishin is a great or big mind, and Dogen says this is a mind like a great mountain or a great ocean. Mountain doesn't move, but on the mountain, our mountain allows all different kind of living beings living together, whether huge trees or tiny, grass, or a big animal or a tiny insect. They can mountain offer the kind of a place to live for those all the living beings, and it doesn't move. It's not shaky. And this Daishin is also like a great ocean. Ocean accept any waters came from different rivers, and without making discrimination, all the water become ocean. So ocean doesn't make discrimination, but accept everything, and it, all different kind of water became the ocean itself. That is the so-called three mind or sanshin. And in Tenzo Kyokun, Dogen Zenji says, all Buddhist practitioners or all bodhisattvas need to nurture these three minds. That is, why I name this place as Sanshinji or Sanshin Zen community, where people nurture those three attitudes toward our own life and toward other living beings. So here he is talking about those three minds, but he always took Daishin as a first. And he said, so in this section he is talking about what is Daishin, or great or big mind. And to me, for many years, I didn't really understand his logic. I understand what Roshi or big mind means, mind without discrimination. But his logic to explain Daishin, to me, it looked strange, because he started that what he has been talking in this section about Daishin is basically the same logic with what he may describe in these diagrams. And the first one is we are only one. We cannot share anything with other people. Our life experience is only mine. So this first one is like we cannot share anything with others. So to me, this is very kind of a negative view of looking our life. But his conclusion was, is, we are one together with entire universe. To me, this is very different. How can we think, this and this? This is very. Our life is personal. We cannot share anything with other people. But here, Uchiyama said, everything we encounter is our life. It looks very different. But his logic from here to here, and according to him, this is not something negative. That is a kind of to me it was strange and difficult to understand. But in the second diagram, he said, we cannot share with anything with other people as an actual life experience. But in the second diagram, he wrote something like that, like this. This means language.
What?
Language. Words. Language. By using language or words or concept, we can communicate with others. We share the understanding. By education, we think we learned what is this and what is that. And when I say this is a black marker, even someone who are not here, but when the person listens to my talk, the person can imagine what this is look like. Because we share the concept and same understanding of what the black marker means. And each and everything, not only black marker, but each and everything we study or learn using language, we have a concept, and through using the concept, we can communicate with others. We can exchange and share the knowledge, understanding. And the third diagram is, because of this, Uchiyama said, we create a world in which we can share and understand each other using words or concept or logic. And so this is basically made with our ability of our thinking and using words, letters, concept, and logic. In that, so we create the common kind of a world in which we share the same knowledge. Not same, probably not same, but looks same. And this is third. And fourth is within this world created by our thinking, we share, some system of value. Something is positive, something is negative. And we think, I like this and I hate that. So I chase after something we desire, and we start to escape from something we don't want. And within this world, most of the people have the same idea of what is good, what is not good. And Uchiyama said, basically in the mundane world, people think having a lot of money or wealth or fame or social status or power, those things are positive. So people want to get those things and escape from the opposite. And this is the way we create samsara. Because what all people want to get is the same thing. So our life becomes competition with others. And also our life becomes competition with ourselves. That means who we are and who we want to be. There's a separation between the current condition of myself and what I want to be. And I try to go there, but it's very difficult. So we always have frustration or dissatisfaction. That is what samsara means. And another nature of this world created by our thinking is some group of people share the some idea, and other people have different system of value, like two different religions or two different political, ideas, like when we are young, communism and capitalism are fighting or having conflict. So, so within groups, there are conflict or argument or even fighting. So that this is the world we are living actually. And basically, what Okumura Roshi is saying is basically this way of life as samsara is created by our ability of thinking. That is what he said in 4 diagrams. One is we want to run after something and escaping from something, and another is our life become fighting with other group of people who has different idea. And this is a mundane world, how we live, behave in mundane life. But the 5th diagram is, this is Zazen. Same thing is happening within our mind, but this person is sitting. Then, as our thought, this idea coming and going within our mind. But when we sit, this world made up by our thinking, is still there, but we let go, or opening the hand of thought. Opening the hand of thought means opening the hand of this way of life. And he said, this is our life. And yet we think this is the world. But this world is creation of our thinking. So, even when we sit, this way of thinking cannot be erased. And he said, we don't need to. But by letting go, we put our entire beings, including the world of thinking, on the ground of this life. And within this life, all beings are connected with each other. In our thinking, the world is a kind of a copy, very distorted copy of reality. That is in the terms used in Yogacara as imaginary nature, the creation of our thinking. When we let go of thought in the Zen, we place our entire being on the ground of universal life, in which everything is living together as one. So, in our Zazen, in a sense, as our life experience, we only can experience certain way, and we make a kind of a picture of the world by using what I experience. So it's very limited. Traditionally, it is said our way of viewing things is like a frog in the well. see the sky and think he sees entire sky. So as a world of thinking, our view is like a tiny part of the universe. But what Uchiyama Roshi is trying to say is by sitting and letting go, we let go of this tiny, distorted view. And on that, within that practice, we return to this life in which we are living together with all beings. But our view can only see this much. And in our zazen, we let go of this view. The problem is, even though our view is very limited, still we have clinging, attachment to this view. And we think this is true, absolutely right. And other people who have different idea is deluded or mistaken. But when, even though our view is limited, when we let go of this limited view, that means we let go of our clinging to this view. This view is kind of a, what is a very good word? I don't know the good word. But what I want to say is, so within the ground of life, we are all connected as interconnectedness. This is a Indra's net, and when we are one knot, and when we see things, we can see only this way. And other people see from their own position, and the world seeing from this position and that position are very different. But when, so usually we cling to our view, our thinking. Then this view and this view is very different, almost sometimes almost opposite. So we need to argue. But both of these people let go of their view. Then this view is one example how this entire network is seen from at least one position. And if we share the views between this person and this person without clinging, then our view become one, at least one example of how this entire world looks like from this position. And when I hear this person's view, how the world looks like for this person, then without clinging, then we can share the even a little bit broader picture of the world. So we don't need to erase what we see or what we think, but what we need to do is, my view is the ways this world looks like from this position. In my case, viewpoint of a Japanese Buddhist. And maybe this person might be a Christian or Islam or non-religious people. But by sharing without clinging, we can see how this entire world looks like. So this, at least according to Uchiyama Roshi, this is not negative, but this is the way reality our life is. But by letting go of this limited view, we can, how can I say, we can use our limited view as a contribution to share with others, and our view become even a little bit wider or broader. So, important point in Uchiyama Roshi is this letting go. That means our life is all connected, but our view is different. Each person has different view. And when we understand that, we can share our life. That is what, this fifth diagram, we are sitting and put our entire life, body and mind, including our limited view. Then our view can be used as an example of how this entire universe looks like, at least from one position. And that is what Uchiyama Roshi means. This is the final one. That means whatever we encounter, whatever we experience, is connected with all beings. That is, I think, his logic. So for him, each one of us has a limited personal life experience, and we create our own personal view. If we cling to this view, then this is a problem. This becomes delusion. And yet, when we become free from this clinging, then we can use this delusion as a teacher or a tool to make our life much broader and share our life with other people. In Yogacara teaching, I talked three natures, and the first one is imaginary nature. But the Chinese name for that is Henge, Shoshu, Sho. Henge is making, Ge is like a calculation or measurement. So we calculate and measure and create our image. And not only that, Shoshu means this image or worldview is attached by ourselves. So the first nature has two parts. One is imagination, making imagination. That is a distorted, limited view. And yet, another part is clinging. We cling to that image created through our experiences. So, what Uchiyama Roshi is saying using this diagram is imagination is still there. As far as our brain is working, we create imagination or concept or thinking. But this part, clinging, is dropped off. And according to Uchiyama Roshi, this theory, this being free from this clinging to our own worldview or system of value is dropping off body and mind. We become free from this clinging. As I often said, when our five skandhas, five elements, such as rupa or material, and sensation, perception, formation, and consciousness. The first one, rupa, is in our life, our body. And other four, sensation, perception, formation, and consciousness, the way our mind works. And often in Buddhist teaching, these 5 skandhas is called 5 skandhas in Sanskrit, pancha skandhas, 5 skandhas, 5 elements or aggregates. But he often, one word is added in this, that is pancha upadana skandhas. Upadana is clinging or attachment. So when 5 skandhas, our body and mind work as like a machine, as one machine. Somehow this body and mind create this world of thinking and concept. And we cling to, and particularly this idea of I. So I is a production of how 5 skandhas works together. And yet 5 skandhas think this I is almost like an owner of 5 skandhas. So I think my eye, my ear, my nose, my tongue, my feeling, my idea, this my is this I. But this I is a production of 5 skandhas. 5 skandhas produce the self-identity. And somehow 5 skandhas think we belong to that kind of owner. And to work to fulfill the desire for this I is their meaning of life. So 5 skandhas cling 5 skandhas themselves and create this idea I or Atman. And what Shakyamuni said is there's no such thing called Atman. Only 5 skandhas works. So in this case, this upadana is a problem. And dropping off body and mind, in my understanding, is this upadana is dropped off. Then 5 skandhas become simply 5 skandhas. And as the Heart Sutra said, 5 skandhas are empty. Empty means shunya or shunyata. That means 0. So we are one, each are different life, and we cannot share anything. But important point is each one person equals 0. And when we see we are 0, we are empty, then somehow we find we are together with all beings. There's no such thing called me as one, but this is 0. Then we find interconnection somehow. When we see that zeroness, emptiness of this person, we find then what is this? This is a collection of all different elements. And those elements are coming and going, always changing. So we start to think this entire network of interdependent origination is actually me. So I make a kind of a formula that 1 equals 0 equals infinity. So to see this oneness is very important. That means we are limited. And yet because our limited body and mind is empty, we are one together with all beings. So, in the very first sentence of the Heart Sutra, it says, when Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva clearly see the emptiness of 5 skandhas, the Avalokiteshvara relief all sufferings. All sufferings caused with or in this way of life, chasing after something or escaping from something and fighting each other. That is what suffering means in Buddhism. But when we see, emptiness of these five skandhas, emptiness of this person, then we see we are together with all beings. There's one kind of a conversation between King Prashunajit, or King of Kosara, and his queen, his wife. And his wife's name is something like Matsurika. Anyway, his wife asked to his husband, King Prashunajit, I find that there's nothing important except me. This me is most important. There is nothing more important than myself. Then she asked the king, what about you? Then the king also said, I cannot find anything that is more important than myself. So this is like this. I am most important. And it's almost like what Buddha said when he was born. Anyway, so they had a problem. We are so self-centered, egocentric people. This is strange. This is not right. So they visited Shakyamuni Buddha and asked him, what we think for each one of us, this person is most important. But they think that is strange, or that can be a mistake. So Shakyamuni asked to Shakyamuni, and Shakyamuni said, you are right. He said, you are right. All of us are ego-centered, self-centered beings. For each one of us, nothing is more important than me. And Shakyamuni added something. If you understand that each and every person, they are most important, if you understand that, you cannot cause problem to others. You should not cause harm others, because for that person, he is most important. So to know that we are ego-centered is not something we should negate, at least according to Buddha's teaching. But by understanding each one of us, we are most important. Therefore, we should not injure others. So there are, within what Buddha said, we have a kind of deeper sense of unity. And yet, as independent beings, we think we are most important. So our view is always self-centered. But if we see, this zeroness or sunyata, then we see everyone is clinging to their own life and happiness. Therefore, we need to disturb others. We should not disturb others. So I think Uchiyama Roshi's logic is the same as Shakyamuni's logic. So we don't need to individuality or egocentricity. And yet, when we understand everyone has, egocentricity, somehow we can say, I don't want to disturb others. This is about the second mind, that is natural or parental mind. So I think in Buddha's teaching, this individuality or even limited view is not something we should negate or erase, but because each and every person, their view, their life, their body and mind is most important. So we should not harm or injure or destroy other people's life. So the compassion came from this interconnectedness. And we need to understand each person within this network has their own personal different views. So when we understand that, somehow we can find the common ground in which all ego-centered people are living together, like a squash. So to be one squash, it's not a mistake to think I'm most important, so I become a good person. Therefore, I have to make effort. But what we need is this common ground. Other people are also trying to live in the best way for them. So how can we live together with harmony? So we need to be careful that each one of us has a kind of a, what is the word, like a form for some animals.
Antennas. Antennas?
Antennas.
Antennas?
The form is used to fight.
Oh, horns.
Horns,
Okay.
like a cows or oxen. So somehow we can fight, and it's very natural, or it's very, how can I say, big part of human life is fighting or competing. And yet, without losing this horn to attack other people, somehow we can live in harmony. When we see this underground, then even within our limited life, whatever we encounter is our life. That is what Uchiyama Roshi is saying. And that is a possible big mind. So we always have a small, very selfish mind. I always think, how can I get more than others? Or how can we avoid difficulty and give difficulty to others? Or when other people are lucky, I feel kind of envy. And why that thing happened to that person, not to me? That is always happening. But our practice of Zazen is letting go of such a limited view and place our entire body and mind on the ground of interconnectedness. That is my understanding of Uchiyama's logic from very individual life experience to, everything we encounter is our life. It's very different, and yet I think in Buddhist teachings, this is, how can I say, transformation in terms of bodhisattva practice, we need to transform from very ego-centered way of life, thinking without thinking anything about other people. Everything we do is to place good things within my territory and put everything negative outside of my territory. You know, every one of us has this egocentricity. When we deeply understand that not only me but all other people have same situation, then we have how can I say, we can share the sympathy because of this identity we suffer, we create, our life becomes samsara, and same thing is happening to other people. That is the way we can be sympathetic or compassionate with others by seeing the something negative or limited of each one of us. So to see the problem or negative thing is not really negative thing, but we have to see much deeper. Then we can have compassion each other. So what Buddha taught is not like something outside of this world. There is absolute existence like a Buddha or a God, and that existence can help me and take all egocentricity out or from human beings. But we have to see, each one of us has the same problem, and that is, I think, basis of Buddhist compassion. That is what Okumura Roshi talks about big mind. So this big mind is the way we experience our life within our practice of Zazen, on which we put our entire beings on the ground of interconnectedness. That is my understanding of his logic. Anyway, I didn't talk anything about what he wrote today. So maybe next time, next week, I think Kon is coming. So he's going to give a Dharma talk. So, and after that, I'm going to Iowa to attend Kyoku's Shuso ceremony at Ryumonji. So I don't know when is next my talk, but I continue from here. Okay, any comments or question, please?
Yeah, the topic reminded me a lot of that verse from the Sandokai that says interacting and non-interacting.
Yeah.
In the sense, the independence of the individual and also the other side of interaction.
Yeah, individuality. Yeah, each person are different, and everyone is share the same life. So there are always two sides.
In a sense, each individual is really unique. I mean,
yeah,
completely different.
Yes, that is important, but that might be a cause of problem. So we have to see our life from two perspectives. This is unique, precious being, and yet all other beings are the same. Okay, thank you. Please.
This is the first time that I've understood magnanimous mind in this way, and one of the things that I find interesting about Buddhism in general is that my sense of what it means to live well, have a magnanimous mind, a nurturing mind, a joyful mind, does not exclude pain, difficulty, envy, jealousy, anger,
Yeah.
irritation, and the ability to recognize that without getting attached to it or identify with it seems to be what I understand to be the fundamental message of Buddhism.
I think so. Interconnectedness is much deeper than our thinking. To understand or even to believe that belief or faith. And when I want to be me first, open our hand to this clinging to me is important to share the healthy way of life. Okay, thank you. Please.
The talk to me, teaching to me, I perceived it in three different contexts. The first context is the Christian golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The second context is Judaism. One of the rabbis was told by someone seeking to convert that he would convert if the rabbi could summarize all of Jewish thought while standing on one foot. The rabbi responded, do not do unto others anything that you would find loathsome to yourself. That's different than the golden rule in the sense that it is an action component. Do unto others as you have them done to you is still a very self-centered action. Not doing something that is loathsome to yourself is stepping outside yourself to develop what I think would be a midway point between the two. This teaching would take it to a third level, which would be not to just understand that your action can't have a loathsome effect, but that all action would have to take place within the context of the total network of value. And I think those three traditions are similar, but each is making an important distinction.
Yeah, I think so. But really important to understand each religious spiritual tradition. Same thing is taught, but logic behind that might be different. But even logic is different, but the way we in each tradition might be the same.
Seems to me to be the action part of it that is the key.
Yeah, the theory or theology or Buddhist philosophy are very different. So thinking is different, but as a part of this interconnectedness, we are really living in the same conditions, I think.
One of the difficulties that I'm still struggling with is if we transfer, I guess, all of that to the Eightfold Path. The path still makes you make a value judgment. The value judgment still has to be made on the individual first level. I guess it's the same point you made of how you do the transition from the first level to the third level. I just answered my hand. Thank you.
So in Buddhism, our practice is important. Practice is a kind of actual pivotal point of transformation. And for Shakyamuni Buddha, this transformation is very decisive. And after he attained awakening, his life became enlightened completely. At least we think so, we believe so. But in our case, this transformation is not decisive or thorough. So we have to do this moment after moment, each moment. Otherwise, we return to the very selfish way. That's why at least Dogen said, our practice is endless. Okay, please.
So in school I've been reading the Nirvana Sutra, and it's very long, so I've only read a small part of it, but it seems like the main kind of point that it wants to make is that it's true that 1 equals 0, and therefore we have no self, and we're impermanent. But then the claim it makes is that the infinity is the true self, and it is permanent, and not subject to non-self and impermanence. So what do you think of that idea?
That is one very popular theory in Mahayana Buddhism, the theory of Buddha nature or Tathagata Garbha. And it's also important theory or almost the basis of Zen teachings. But if we think this infinity as a kind of something permanent and never change, then we create another kind of Atman. That is a problem of that theory. I think Dogen tried to not escape, but avoid that kind of a trap. So he's saying this is not fixed. This network of interconnectedness is not fixed. So, because to show this is an Indra's net, I draw a circle, but actually there's no such circle, only interconnectedness. If we draw a circle, it means there's something fixed in which everything is changing and interconnected within that. But this circle itself doesn't change and permanent. And that is another kind of a creation of our 5 skandhas. So that I think that difference is very important to understand Dogen, I think. Thank you. Please.
I'm really glad that Doju asked about that, because I was wondering the same type of thing.
I see.
Though I haven't studied the Nirvana
But even when we read Uchiyama Roshi's book like this, we can create such a concept.
Well, my question arose partly because I think I remember you saying in the past that emptiness and interconnectedness are really the same
thing. Yeah.
And so I always assumed that Indra's net was empty.
Yes.
And just because everything is always changing and connected.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
So we're using this term Indra's net to describe something that has no external boundary. I wonder if does this work? We use the word ocean to describe something that is continuously changing, because water is going into it continuously, water is evaporating from it continuously. So it's in transformation, and yet we have a label that we put on it.
Yeah, actually, ocean is not existing independently from rest of the water within this, what do you call it?
Hydrological cycle.
Yeah. So even ocean is not a fixed entity.
Yeah, and the section that I was just reading in Nirvana Sutra also, he gives like 20 pages of metaphors for, what nirvana is basically. And then at the end of it he says, well, actually metaphors don't work. No metaphor is actually going to hit the mark.
What a waste of time. Okay, thank you very much. Dharma gates are bound